Hello, fellow travelers. This is Veronica from Human Design Journey, and I'm directly going to dive into the daily transit and the more important, the changing of the nodes. Because the nodes just moved from the first and the second gate into the 24th in the Ajna center, knowing circuit, and in the 44th the splenic center, part of the tribal circuit. So we're going to talk about that today, since the nodes stay for 2-3 months, and we can really feel the change. We can see here. So they moved a few days ago. So you can see already on the 27th of November, actually. So yeah, quite a change, and they will stay there until yeah, several months next year for sure. So let's look at them. Actually, right now we also have the 26th gate defined by Venus, moral values and principles. And it's in detriment right now. Yeah, here it is. So the taming power of the great gate of the egoist, the fifth line, adaptability, a resistance and dissatisfaction when basic changes to nature are necessary, the resistance of the egoist to adaptation. And that's in the values and relating, which together with the 44th form actually the channel of surrender, which will be more the energy felt by everybody, together with the channel of initiation. So we're going to look at those two. Since this is the current moment, so when we look at the transits, I like to look at the current moment first, and then we talk about the longer term and coming to meet. Let's start from here. But we have the channel of surrender first. So that's what we're going to feel most these days. So it links the splenic center through the 44th, the gate of the coming to meet, to the 26th, the gate of taming power of the great in the heart center. And this is the channel of the transmitter. The 44 is oldest instinctual memory, basically. Connected to smell. It resides in the bones, by the way. While the 26th has the ability to manipulate memory in the interest of improvement. And surrender is the result of combining fear of the old and the past with willingness for improvement in the 26th. Actually, and here I want maybe to say something. You know, human design is not a belief system. Human design is not a philosophy. Human design is just mechanics. And it combines exoteric, which means scientific knowledge, and esoteric. But it only combines them in a way to be perceived by the human consciousness at the level at which we are. That's how the voice showed Ra the human design system, by showing him using books which were in the room during his 8-day experience. there was a biology book, and there was the I Ching and this and that. So this is how human design was explained to us, the synthesis of all of this. Um, and interestingly enough, channel of synthesis is also part of the mystical way. Um, the voice is part of some mysticism, but also all religions, beliefs, and so on. Anyways, we're talking about the channel of surrender, which is a much colder part of this stream. And so people who come to human design, a lot of them have esoteric background and they use esoteric tools, and that's okay. The point is that things are not relevant for everybody, and that's what human design is about. It's the science of differentiation, how different we are. And all I want to say here is, for instance, when we have the 26th gate, fourth line, and we have the manipulator of memory, and it's this person remembers in his own benefit things, and they have to forget the bad stuff. Otherwise, this stops them to, they just have to leave it because it's bad for their psyche. And actually, it's for them super unhealthy to go to practices like regressions, remembering your birth moments and such past life experience practices, and maybe even ayahuasca, or I don't know exactly, but it makes sense uh, to really connect to who you are and whether you respond or not, if you're a generator, or what your inner authority says when something comes along your way, if you're a projector, a generator, or any other type, reflector. And to really consider different things, not because everybody does that and it is trendy, because here that's an example of that in this gate, specifically the 26th gate. But let's continue. So we have here the oldest instinctual memory, and the creativity of this channel is in its ability to replace old standards with new ones. It's the creative channel of the tribe. And it brings an improvement to old concepts, particularly on the material level. And often we see products and services which are improved and new. And this is an example of how this channel operates. It is referred to as the channel of the entrepreneur. Not for nothing. It's the ability to recognize what the tribe needs and what would appeal to the tribe, because this channel only operates with support. It's part of the ego circuit, and the transmitter can only replace the old with the new if they have the support of the tribe. If the deal is met, the stickiness is there. Likewise, it's a projected channel that needs to be recognized and invited to transmit their talent, and not use their ego to assert things. This is not a manifester. It's waiting for the invitation and recognition. Useful tip here would be to pay close attention to smell. And this is what the nodes bring, the 44th gate. They smell success. They smell when things smell bad, rotten tomatoes, and they can smell success. And when they meet, the code the cold spleen, and the hot ego, we have a bang, actually. And it's the immune system, where we have the white blood cells and the red in the heart. So one is responsible for killing the enemy, recognizing when it's being given too much crap from the other side. From the 26th is the gate of the manipulator. So yeah, let's look at the different lines in the 44th gate, which we will go through in the next few months. Right now we're in the sixth line, aloofness. So a perfect renewal in which the establishment of a new form inures on the condemnation of the rejected, the awareness of patterns which ensure one's instinctive well-being, and the detriment, intolerance, and arrogance for lesser mortals, the awareness of patterns which can bolster the ego at the expense of the well-being of others. And here we have the success of any interaction is based on the absence of any reconditions. Sorry, it's in the I Ching above the lines. So the 44th is the gate of alertness. It's where community is socialist, the channel of surrender is capitalist. So it's the instinct and the memory to transmit one's ego to the tribe. So the 44th gate offers individual loyalty and access to its memory resources in return for the ego's strength to assure and to put aside its fears of the past, actually, or that the past will catch up with it. Coming to meet is the gate of that fear. And you can take actions based on this fear. So let's look at the other lines. The first line, conditions the establishment of frameworks as the result of interaction. Something to be developed. A mastery of the collective that can establish restrictive conditions for inferior components. This is the first line, so it will be the last to experience. Maybe I should go in the way we're going to experience it. So let me do that. So let's go back to the fifth line, manipulation. So the ability to transform interaction with inferior elements into the energizing of progressive process, with the additional benefit that in tapping into the inferior elements, they remain weak, where the instinctive recognition of the patterns yeah. Let's see here. Leads to the possible manipulation of others, or the tendency in this form of manipulation to become abusive and degenerate to their level. The possibility that the instinctive recognition of the patterns could lead to the abuse of others. So these will come in a few weeks. Then we will go to honesty, the refusal to engage in hypocritical interaction, indifference at its most logical and cutting, the indifference possible when guided by the instinctive memory. And actually, since I am going through the lines, let's exactly see when those things are going to happen. So what I read first, it will continue all the way till February. And then the manipulation will start as from February, and the ability to transform interaction with inferior elements into energizing progressive process So we will see people which will reap additional benefits in tapping with inferior elements, and which can remain weak, or the opposite. And the tendency in this form of manipulation to become abusive and degenerate to their level. So we can see pretty ugly stuff going on as from February. And aloofness. So right now it will be more, right now the times in which we're since a week, the perfect renewal in which the establishment of a new form inures one to the condemnation of the rejected, and intolerance and arrogance for lesser mortals. Basically, pretty tough times ahead. Everybody for themselves, you know. Success is mine, aloofness. I'm a little bit concerned only about me. And then as from February comes the manipulation. And then oh, sorry. Manipulation is already here in December. Yeah. The 23rd of December. Oh my God, manipulation during exactly the Christmas holidays, the 24th, 25th, 26th. Yuppie. Okay, that will be interesting to see. Mm, the tendency in this form of manipulation to become abusive and degenerate to their level. Oh, be careful during the holidays, guys. If you don't feel like going, maybe you shouldn't. Let's see what's going on then on in January the 6th. We will get into the fourth line, honesty, the refusal to engage in hypocritical interaction. So right after the holidays, everybody will be like, I'm not doing that again. Indifference at its most logical and cutting. The indifference possible when guided by the instinctive memory. And then everybody remembering during the holidays. And then the detriment, the sign in detriment, that in extreme situations, in cases of self-sustainment, will expect assistance from forces it has totally rejected. Here, the honesty in the genuine need, the sacrifice of indifference for survival. And at the same time, yeah, you need the support of the tribe, man. So you cannot be stay indifferent for too long. Then we get to the third line, interference, on January 10th. And that will be the failure to interact based on circumstances, the ability to recognize the threat of interference and to prepare for its effects, the alertness and instinct to handle the ego of others. And the detriment, so the other side, a diluted response to interference that gets stuck in projection and as a result is unrealistic in appraisal and error prone. The possibility that the instinct cannot handle the ego of others. So by the trial and error process, there'll be a lot of interference or the failure to interact based on the circumstances. So that can get quite dangerous. And at the same time, we have the alertness and the instinct to handle the ego of others or not. We can expect quite daring actions, I would say. Yeah. So then the second line is at the end of January, exactly at, you see here, the Rave New Year. So this is when the energy changes in the personality Sun Earth. And then we get to the second line in the notes. So this is the environment. what's going to be around, what we're going to be seeing, the perspective, the lenses through which everything is going to go. Second line management, the development and management of a proper collective structure which restricts inferior elements by creating cooperative modes that integrate these forces with progressive and superior forces, and the possibility that alertness to patterns will result in management capability. And the other side, a tendency in management to concentrate exclusively on goals, ignoring inferior elements, which leads inevitably to quantitative success and qualitative failure. The instinctive memory of the patterns that bypasses the development of managerial capability. So quality can be sacrificed if management is being focused on quantity. And the other side, it can be proper collective structure, which restricts the inferior elements of creating cooperative modes that integrates these forces. Let's see how it's going to go that with the European Union and those quite active themes right now with the collective organizations. As we know, we're approaching the 2027, the Sleeping Phoenix. So those structures from the times of the cross of planning, which has ruled this world and earth for the past 400 years, is coming to an end. So logically, and we're still in a logical 4816, 4037 place and time. Although we hear the coming change, we feel it, it's there, we see it everywhere. Yeah, logically, those structures will crumble down. Let's see what happens, because nobody knows. But it seems like, since this is a program, it's perfect. It's designed to lead the way. There is a step-by-step way around the wheel. So it's all preparing us. Let's see what's going on in the notes, preparing us for those times. So then we get to the first line, which is oops. Okay, the first line comes at the beginning of February, and it will be till the 6th of February when the 27th, 28th pair will get into the notes. But till then, we have the first line, conditions, the establishment of framework as the result of interaction. A mastery of the collective that can establish restrictive conditions for inferior components and with the ability to enforce them. An alertness to patterns that can lead to mastery of the collective. An attractive nature, that's the other side, that will interact with inferior forces and will fail to apply restrictions, resulting in a risk to continued harmony. The failure of the instinct out of the need for harmony. I wonder how these will play out exactly. The need for harmony blocking your instinct. We have the memory circuit here. So you're blocking your memory in order to actually yeah, to feel harmony. So let's look at, let's first look at gate 24 then. Since it's the other side of the notes. Gate 24. Okay. Part of the gate of returning, part of the design of the thinker, the channel of awareness. So 24, it's in the Ajna center. Gate of rationalizing. The gate of return, it's basically a conceptualizing gate. It's individual conceptualizing, part of a very complex process. The role of the mental individuality is to find a way to communicate a unique awareness to the collective. And before any attempt at communication might be even possible, the inspiration must be given a rational form. Inspiration from the sixth gate comes to the gate of rationalization. The word rationalizing often has a negative connotation, since it's a projection of the collective on the individual to rationalize things. But here we're not talking about that. We're talking about returning to make them, to translate them. It's returning over and over and over again, pondering upon stuff until the energy is transformed into rational form, which later will come to the channel of, as an insight, assimilated and expressed through the channel of the freak, the genius to freak, the channel of structuring. So here we have potential for awareness, and it's more or less, we have three awareness potentials: the gate 28, the risk taker, and then we have gate 55, the gate of the half empty, half full cup, the abundance, and the design to rationalize. It's a risk and a test of the spirit. There is no proof, logical, collective, or experiential, or abstract collective. There is only the potential that what has been rationalized may be true or not true. It's part of the knowing circuit. So it's just a potential. I know, I don't know, I don't know. Now I know, now I don't know. It's fluctuating energy. And it can be quite depressive. It's open for the pressure coming from above. So the two pressure centers, and we have the in-between sandwich under pressure. So this gate is under tremendous pressure from the head to rationalize stuff, to come up with answers. And let's look exactly what's going to happen actually in the next few months. So we have, it's the natural and spontaneous process of transformation and renewal. First, we have it's in the sixth gate, the gift horse, the possibility of being deaf when opportunity knocks, the conscious participation in a process that prepares one for easy identification of opportunity. Identification focus with the rational thought process, or innate suspicion, which leads inevitably to lost opportunities, often irrational suspicion that distorts the focus and can lead to missed opportunities. That will be close, coming close to Christmas. And then we have the fifth line, confession, the courage to admit the mistakes of the past. Oh, a lot of confessions this Christmas over a cup of hot chocolate and cookies under the Christmas tree. Let's see at both sides. The practical value of starting with a clean slate, symbolized by the new moon, rational correction that opens the way to new possibilities. Or the other side, the tendency to try to minimize past mistakes through rationalization, tuning confession into justification, irrational justification of past mistakes. So people will be busy rationalizing their mistakes or excusing themselves for their past mistakes during the Christmas holiday days. And at the same time, we saw with the 44th gate, the other side, which, hold on, the manipulation. So that combined can give quite some trip during the Christmas holiday. So be aware, guys. You can practically get into manipulating others or getting manipulated from others, and the tendency to use these manipulation to degenerate to their level. So that's in the air. Stick to your strategy and authority, not to get into the games of the tribe. It is very capitalistic, and you can get into big fights during those few weeks. Then once the Christmas is over, we get to the fourth line, the Hermit, transformation that can only take place in isolation. The discipline and focus to assure renewal, aloofness enriches the potential for rational thought, or the tendency in isolation to live in a fantasy world. Aloneness encourages the potential of illusion or delusion. And that combined with what we already looked at in the 44th gate, which is, again, honesty and not wanting to engage with double face interaction and untrue interaction. So this can lead to saying again a few not so nice, nasty things after what has been exchanged during the holidays. Then we get into the third line, the addict, the powerful attraction of regressive forms, the ultimate, though difficult, triumph over regression, the difficult but possible task of overcoming irrationally. And the other side, addiction and regression legitimized by success, irrationality maintained and legitimized by success. So irrationality together with interference in the 44th line 3, being either alert to deal with the ego of others or not able to. And at the same time, in the addiction and powerful attraction of regressive forms. So that might be, with the trial and error process, interpreted quite, let's say, even like after the holidays, all the buzz and holiday mood, and it can be felt like you're going downhill a little bit, sad and melancholic energy, and yeah, and banging down into the second line, recognition, right at the end of the year, in when the 60th gate is coming in the sun, as it is anyway, is going to be there till 2025 from Pluto down here. But so we have recognition, the proper and spontaneous adaptation to new forms, the potential gift of conceptualizing spontaneously, or the other side, the vanity to see transformation as a personal achievement rather than a socially supported or natural phenomena. The mental vanity that the gift of conceptualizing spontaneously can produce. And it's also projector channel 2461. So hence not invited. That can be a problem, together with the 44-2 management, the possibility to have management capabilities and being alert, or the instinctive memory for the models who do not develop, but basically lead to lower quality instead of and bigger quantity. And the last one, right after we get into the new year, the sin of omission. The first line, transformation that requires retrogressive periods before renewal can take place. The will to triumph, and in this case, the faith that the end justifies the means. Inspiration that demands a reassessment of past thinking before rational concept can be established. Or the other side, self-delusion, which unnaturally justifies periods of retrogression, inspiration that leads to an irrational focus on what is past. And this will be right at the start of the new year. Yeah, till the 6th of February. So those are the notes. Putting us indeed to think about the past coming to meet, and at the end, the success of any interaction is based on the absence of any preconditions. So we'll see what happens. Staying alert, on one hand, or returning the natural and spontaneous process of transformation and renewal. This is what's in the air, this is what's possible, and we will only know if it's for us, whether depending on what our strategy and authority tells us. So let's go back a little bit to the present day. So we're still in the 9th. The sun is still in the 9th gate, line 6, and the 16th gate, the earth, line 6. Let's look at that. Since it's the current energy, and it has been also there for the past week. Right now, we're in the 6th line, the taming power of the small, the gate of focus, gratitude, the joy which comes with accepting small rewards for small victories. The moon exalted, where the power of the small nourishes right perspective, the power to enjoy the concentrating process. And the detriment, no single step is of value until the journey is over. The energy for expression that cannot find joy in the process until it is complete. So all these details, in order to be perceived in gratitude, we have to wait until the whole process is finished. And the potential can be fulfilled through the detailed attention to all pertinent aspects. The past days we had let's see the other lines of gate 9. So I'm again gonna go backwards. Like yesterday was the 5th line day. So it was faith. The trust that detailed adherence will lead to fulfillment. Loyalty to the letter of the law. The power to focus and bring value to concentration. And the other side, like the mystery of God, doubt engendered through the perceived logic of a process, where the lack of power to concentrate leads to doubt. That was yesterday. So if you saw a lot of doubt, and at the same time, really, yeah, actually, there were some scandals again in the European Union. And was it yesterday that Poland asked for retributions from Germany? Yeah, loyalty to the letter of the law, man. The program is crazy. He trusts that detailed adherence will lead to fulfillment. Faith, so the Polish have faith that they will with the mystery of God being in a bad, probably like economic situation. Yeah, let's get the trillion from there. So nice. But yeah, today's gratitude. Be grateful that you're still there and we're still not in the Third World War, man. Whoa. Okay, let's look at the past days. Dedication, fourth line. The regardless of the pressure of stress, the disciplined attention to detail, right action that leads inevitably to actualization, the power to act on the potential of the focus, the persistent urge to want to skip essential steps. That's the other side. The drive for action that ignores the details. So I think somebody here ignored the details, being very dedicated on how to, the fourth line, waiting for the opportunity to try to influence you with its truth, with its base. Yeah. Then a few days earlier, we had the third line, the straw that breaks the camel's back, the overlooked minor element that always predetermines failure, the use of force to temporarily overcome impediments, the loss of power through the failure of focus, or the other side, persistent force that saps vitality and turns molehills into mountains. The power to turn a focus into an obsession. Did you feel like that several days ago, guys? And even further, yeah, at the end of last month, misery loves company, collaboration with others to temper frustration, the power to collaborate with others in focusing how bad things are. Did you complain to each other? The overwhelming need to expansion can lead to errors in judgment, missed opportunities, and depression. The drive to collaborate that will miss the focus. And the first line, sensibility, a balanced and responsive approach to problem solving, the ability to avoid frustration through the creation of new forms, the power in focusing to creative new forms. And the other side, after a hasty and frustrating surge, the urge to kick in the door when the key is in your pocket, the power to generate that will lose its focus. Sensibility. If you recognize something in those days, it might be that you did not follow your strategy and authority, or it was correct for you to do so. Anyways, this was in the air, and tomorrow the energy changes completely as we go to the fifth gate and the 35 and the 35th. Progress and rhythm. So interesting transits, but let's also look at the 25th, 2551, the channel of initiation and design of needing to be first. It's here for only very little time, since it is actually defined by the moon. Right now in line 3, adaptation, the arousing, the gate of shock, the destabilization that occurs when one's field of normal activity is radically and unpredictably disturbed, where the tendency is withdrawal rather than adaptation, the ego that may be destabilized in times of challenge. And the 2015 first gate, Uranus, law and protection, innocence, the gate of the spirit of the self. First line, selflessness, motiveless action, the universalization of activity, psychic attunement that is its own reward, the potential for centering through attunement to challenges, the tendency to publicize one's selflessness, the insecurity of the self manifested in times of challenge. So let's see if right now somebody's publicizing about their selflessness and how they manifested their self in times of challenge. And if we look at the actually the channel of initiation, it's part of the centering circuit group. So it's about empowerment and about inspiring others to do their own thing by the fact that you're doing your own thing. Just by being yourself, you empower others to be themselves. It's about finding your own center through exploration of the self and initiation into new ways. So it's more individuality here we have. Everything becomes more individual. So the channel of initiation, it links the heart center through the 51st gate, the gate of arousing, to the 25th, the gate of innocence in the G center. And it is simply the nature of the individual channel to be competitive. And so, of course, it empowers competitiveness in the other. So if you feel competitive right now, guys, and you start posting about your selflessness on the net, this is what's going on. Maybe you're not waiting for the invite. And here we have basically you have to be invited to initiate. And again, the whole magic of what individuality is all about is that you're invited to respond to life, to be yourself, to not interfere. If you touch the heart of any individual and ask them what they really care about philosophically, they will tell you non-interference, so they can just be themselves. This is what this channel is about. This is the art of initiation, to be yourself. Anybody who is walking around living out their definition, type, and authority is being themselves. And on the mystical level, this channel is called the shaman, priestess, because they initiate others into finding themselves. So it can be a time of deep initiation at the same time. Hence, it's the correct time for you specifically. And it will be gone very soon, practically in a few hours. So let's look at the remaining gates. We have the 11th gate in the Ajna Center, defined by Mercury, communication and thinking. In the gate of peace, the gate of ideas, third line, the realist, the acknowledgement that peace is transitory, the internal renewal to maintain strength and alertness, the rationalization that ideas come and go, and the detriment, the tendency to appreciate harmony to the point of delusion, the belief that beauty is eternal, fiddling with while Rome burns, a pleasure in ideas that have no real application. So if you want to communicate your ideas, listen around you. People will be communicating their ideas, and that will last till Monday evening. Right now, it's just for the pleasure of the ideas. Those might not be yours. Or you might be, if you have an open throat, want to, and have the 56 gate, like I do, you want to put your ideas into action and communicate them. The 26th gate, in line 5, we already looked at it. The adaptability. No, we didn't. We only looked at the channel. So we have our values and relating, a resistance and dissatisfaction when basic changes to nature are necessary, the resistance of the egoist to adaptation, not wanting to adapt. The 45th gate, and just a little bit earlier, the moon was in gate 21, so the whole channel was defined. But now we have only the 45th gate, first line in detriment, canvassing. The gate of the gatherer, gathering together, an overzealousness that turns canvassing into proselytization and tends to alienate rather than gather support. The drive for material that leads to aggressive education. We know this is the gate of education, and if you're doing it, the king, queen gate, you do it for the tribe. Very tribal energy, but different than this one. It's you own it, mama, but you give education. You give it away. And Right now we have it in Mars, so it's quite a dynamic energy, expressive and non-mature, not mature yet. It's immature energy. Canvassing, overzealousness, and alienating others rather than gathering support. And the tribe is all about support. So owning, wanting to compete, and trickstering. Everybody, this is in the air right now, guys. Be aware, 70% of the population is with an open ego. So people will be giving lots of promises, comparing each other. It's a projector day. You need to be recognized. Wait for the invitation. Really slow down. If you have will and the instinct, expressing your innocence, being you, being yourself, that's what's gonna protect you from being let's look at the law and protection. Innocence, the gate of the spirit of the self. The first line, selflessness, motiveless action. We already looked at this one. So we have to be ourselves to jump on the other side of the fire of competition on our innocent feet so that we don't get punished and limited in by Saturn, which is discipline limitation, which is still in the gate of revolution for quite a long time now. The gate of principles right now in the second line, the last resort. The determination to exhaust every possible peaceful avenue. So remember, this is how when we don't follow our design, this is how we're being restricted. So the determination to exhaust every possible peaceful avenue for change, and then when satisfied that no other course is possible, to plan in detail before revolution is attempted, the potential to explore every possibility before rejecting. And this is going on for a long time. And the other side, the overwhelming revolutionary urge that is impatient with accommodation and negotiation. The tendency here is the coup d'etat that has little general support, impatience with accommodation. So this is how we're going to be restricted with a possible coup d'etat and not really, and the potential to explore every possibility before rejecting, and the other way around, rejecting without exploring every possibility. So that with the coming winter can be in the not self, not nice. Let's put it simply like that. Uranus, unusualness, chaos, and innovation. Still, it's in the second gate, line 3. The direct gate of the direction of the self. Also because the nodes were here for quite a long time. We have the second gate defined. So we are getting direction from the program, direction for the new. It's in the patience, the teacher that never stops being a student, guys. Whatever you learned, it just goes on. Learning is a lifelong process. And knowing that information is not really a strength, it's just entertainment. What to do? For the revolutionary, patience is a vice, higher knowing that cannot wait and demands expression. So waiting is a virtue. Can we, in our unusualness and chaos, not force and kick the keys? Kick the door when the keys are in the pocket, as we saw in an earlier gate. And of course, Neptune behind all that in the darkening of the light. And just in a few hours, the sun is getting into the 35th gate. The Earth is getting into the 35th gate. So we're going to get a definition. The channel of crisis, the channel of actually we can look at it since it's gonna come very soon. Channel of transitoriness. But let's look at the 36th gate first, the darkening of the light, the gate of crisis, first line resistance, the energy and determination to persevere in the face of opposition, the emotional power to handle crisis, an over-principled resistance that rather than being selective in resistance and thus less at risk will maintain normal patterns and incur opposition, a resistance to change that will always bring crisis. That's also for a very long time. And in just a few hours, we're going to get the channel of transitoriness, which links the throat center through the 35th, the gate of progress, to the 36th gate of crisis, darkening of the light in the emotional center. Here we have an emotional manifesting channel that will try anything and everything, even if there's no obvious value to obtain experience. So it will share what it does, and it might gain some wisdom over time, but since we get into a manifesting energy, people will start running around like crazy, trying to get experience, trying to experience things. But experience is the worst teacher. It gives the test before presenting the lesson. So beware, guys. Strategy and authority will be what will protect you. With having Pluto as the background frequency till 2025, that's another 2 years. Truth, transformation, and psychology is in the gate of limitation, the gate of acceptance. First line, acceptance, the ability to maintain inner harmony when confronted by external limitations. So keep it up, keep it up. Harmonic energy that can deal with external limitations. Or the other side, the drive for diversity that when limited can become restless and agitated. Restless energy when confronted with external limitations. So if you feel like exploding during those holidays and, you know, because of all these restrictions the past years and wanting to just get over with all these limitations, well, guess what? Ain't gonna happen unless you accept first limitations, because that's the first step to transcending them. And this energy will get even more tough as we approach the next few weeks, since we will get into the last 4 gates of the wheel, which are quite individual, a little bit depressing, and are here to help us look back at the last cycle. And remember, the end of the year is not really the end of the astrological year and the end of the rave year, the human design year. The end of the human design year is on the 21st of January, and we will meet the new cycle on the 22nd of January. This year, we can see the 22nd of January. So right now, we have some interesting days ahead. Stay yourself, stay different, stay who you are. Don't fall for the traps of homogenization and the whole Christmas spirit thing if it's not your thing. And do go for it if it's your thing. Have nice days ahead, guys, and stay centered, stay yourself. Follow your strategy and authority, since this is your centering. This is your what you can rely on. And in those turbulent times, practice, because it's getting tougher by the day. And after all, It is um, a program, for consciousness expansion. So it's not easy, guys. It's not easy. Still, it can be fun. And when you know that you're having your life, even when it's not easy, and you know that's for you, you feel on your spot and you feel that this is what was meant for you, then it's simpler and quite satisfactory, at least for me as a generator. I wish you a lot of satisfaction, success, recognition, peace, and freedom, surprise, and lightness in the coming days. This is Veronica from Human Design Journey. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.